Right, and here we go again. This is another skills technical training video for graphic design. And in this video, we are looking at logos and vector tracing. Okay, so in this one, you'll find that under 2.1 and 2.2, for this particular project, there was a logo that had to be accurately redrawn, and that the logo was in vector only. All right, so this won't be a complete explanation as to what vector versus graphic is, but I'm going to show you how this should be set up correctly. If I scroll up to the requirements for the logo, which is up here in this document, page 3, it's telling us that the logo has to be redrawn and built using these 3 Pantone colors. Okay, so PMS 166, PMS 376, and PMS 299. Those are the colors required. And so if we jump over to Illustrator, first of all, what we have here is the logo that was supplied. And you notice in this document what the competitor has done is they have placed the original logo, the logo that was supplied, on a layer called Original. And we can tell that this particular object is pixel-based because we cannot select any individual parts of it. It's all one graphic. So in order to replicate this or to have this correct, what we would have to do is, if we didn't even have this, let's say, we would have to go to File, Place, and find the original file and place it on the page as our sort of starting point. And then when you have your layer, in this case it was called Original, we would lock that layer and we would create a layer above called Trace, and using the pen tool or whatever tool you're familiar with in Illustrator, you would trace around all the separate little pieces in order to convert it to a vector logo. All right, now the difference here is that I'm just going to ungroup it. I can now select individual parts because they are vector shapes that have been cut out. Okay, so that is very, very important. That's where you'll get that sort of vector distinction from a raster one. Okay, this one is now traced correctly. Now, what about the second part of this, getting it to use the correct colors? Now, that's another issue that we got to deal with here. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to turn off the trace quickly. I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to go to Swatches. Okay, and I'm going to have my swatches showing. And swatches will have the default set of colors in here. You can also select all of the unused colors so that you don't have any that aren't needed, and you can delete them. This won't affect your document in any way other than, you know, your swatch library, which is not a big deal. In order for us to find those Pantone colors that were specified in the document, so if we go back here, it says, let's start with PMS 166. We actually have to open up the color library for that. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to get to that. So in Illustrator, we would go to Window, Swatch Libraries, Pantone. Actually, I believe it's called Color Books. Yes, Color Books. And inside Color Books, we're going to go to Pantone. Now we got Pantone. We got a whole bunch of Pantone books, but the ones that will have the ones that we want are Pantone Solid Coated. Also, Pantone Solid Uncoated are popular as well, but we can tell. Actually, this one doesn't have a C behind it, but if it has a C behind it, you know that that's coated. All right, but we're going to go to Pantone Solid Coated. And what's going to happen is we're going to get this window that pops up. So this is a library of colors that is generated from the Pantone book. All right, we can change the way that we view this, and we can view it as a list instead. Sometimes that's an easier way to see it. But basically, what it is a really long list of all the colors within the Pantone books. Now, if you remember, we were looking for Pantone color 166. So the nice feature about this is because they realize that this is a really long list, we can just type 166 here. And you'll notice that Pantone 166 becomes available as one of the choices. Now, I think we can just drag this into swatches, of course. Yeah, we can just drag it into swatches and it becomes part of our swatch library for this particular design. Then we're going to go find the next one, which was 376. Okay, so we go into our library, put in 376. There it is. And we're going to drag it to our swatch library. And the last one was 299. All right, so 299. And you'll notice as I'm doing this that these colors are matching the colors of the original because that's what it was built in. Now we can close this color library. We could turn our trace back on. And we know that this is supposed to be orange, so we can turn that. We know that Toronto is supposed to be orange. We can every now and then we can just turn this off to remind ourselves. We got a couple blue items. We got 15, which is going to be blue. We got Pan Am, which is going to be blue. And the other two objects are green. Okay? So now we know we have vectorized the logo correctly. It has been traced. We don't need the original anymore because we've got a vector version of it. And the logo is set to the correct colors. And that will get you the marks for this part of the marking.